Hello and welcome. If you are watching on YouTube, always a reminder, there are links in the description with the time codes for the replays and also recommendations so you can know which are the ones you can check out and which are the ones who you can skip if you are in a hurry, or just watch the whole thing. We got some music coming up for the next couple of minutes as we get the stream rolling. By the way, twitch.tv/cyber. If you want to check out some stuff live, it doesn't happen very often, but it does happen at least sometimes. All right. I'm going to go silent for a little bit. Enjoy the tunes. Alright, we're going to be getting into some Kane's Wrath in just a minute. For those of you who don't know, we actually have a decent number of the top Kane's Wrath players are in either Russia or Ukraine, or they're Ukrainian, but they live in a neighboring country. And so Kane's Wrath has taken a hit due to loss of communication. So last we heard, Unleashed was okay. Futurama, I don't think anyone has heard from. His city is, I believe, without power and basically completely cut off. So hopefully those guys are doing okay. I think Drive is still okay, but he's more on the Russian side. So hopefully he's just able to stay at home and chill out. But yeah, so a lot of the typical names that you've been seeing for the last 1 to 3 years, if you've been watching a decent amount of Kane's Wrath, a lot of those guys are either in Russia or Ukraine, and so some of those guys are not online right now, and we're desperately hoping that they all are able to come back online soon, but obviously we will see. So we have some games from Drive and Futurama. Actually, they're both in this first 2v2 that we have going on, as well as Tesla and Shoktrepet. And I think those guys might be from that same area of the world. I'm not 100% sure. So we got some games that are a little bit older, and you know, we'll be taking a look at some awesome games, and hopefully seeing these guys back online soon enough. Zlex Pro, what in the world? What a blast from the past, a total tone shift, but welcome to Zlex. This guy, one of the best Red Alert 3 players to ever touch Diablo 3. And, hey Zlex, how you been, man? Wow. So, we have no Zlex games today, but, you still got that Diablo 3 run, and what are you doing these days? Yeah, definitely a lot of chaos, and Kane's Wrath was looking pretty hot coming into 2022. There's now much bigger problems for a lot of those top contenders in Kane's Wrath than can they beat Bike Rush in the next tournament. They now have much bigger problems that they have to overcome, and yeah, again, we hope to see them all back online soon. We hope that they're able to stay safe, but in training for a possible deployment. Zlex, did you go military? I didn't know that. Alright, as we get into this first game, let me know how the audio is. Let me know if it's balanced well enough. And we're going to keep the music going while we get into this. Space showing up as well. Look at him. I don't think we have any space games in this batch of replays, but Emerg 13 showing up for the first time. JhinWick also, first time chat. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're gonna jump into our first 2v2 so that we can lighten the mood and hopefully escape from some of the bad times for just a little bit. This is Cybert signing into Kane's Wrath on the map Wasteland Dam, and we have ourselves a 2v2 to get into it. Now this guy in the top right-hand corner, this is Futurama. He's playing Cyan, he is playing Scrin. Meanwhile, his ally, the orange, marked of Kane, this is Shoktrepet. In the bottom left-hand corner, making up the other half of this 2v2, well, he's normally teamed up with Futurama, but this, as the green steel talons, is Drive. And on the other side, next to him, this, as the blue Reaper 17, is Tesla. So we have got ourselves 4 pretty evenly matched individuals. Some guys that we normally see on teams together, going to be kind of going up against each other. Futurama and Drive are on the opposite sides of the map from each other. The furthest north and the furthest south that they could be. And, well, those descents, I think, did get spotted out. It looks like it is going to be descents from both Tesla and from Futurama. It's slow descents on both sides. No one is Traveler. So we don't expect slow descents to really be doing anything. Super fast airfield coming right out of the gate from Drive, and he's actually going to be transporting, it looks like, engineers. Yeah, he's got those Steel Talons combat engineers going to be heading out around the map. Buzzers getting spotted, Buzzers doing some killing, and it looks like it's going to be Descents and Buzzers versus Descents and Buzzers as Futurama goes for the... Oh, the engineer gets sniped. Drive with the hammerhead. Going to be able to clean up those Descents as well. Drive calling in his own engineer and going to be able to cap that spike. Just barely is going to be able to get it away from the team in the north. A sick play coming out there from Drive, able to make that happen. And able to overcome those descents. Maybe gets caught by this, No, the Awakened Squad doesn't jump out of the building, so the engineer gets inside of the tib spike, and Drive gets himself a number of tib spikes, all one after the other. Looks like Shoktrepet heading down to the low ground. Drive has had some trouble with an MCV on this exact location, so it's good to see that Shoktrepet was able to get that down there. Drive was not able to take advantage of any timing and cut off that MCV for any reason. Descents getting cleaned up. Drive coming out with a weak economic opener, but securing those tib spikes, getting himself some early descent kills, and throwing off his opponent's game may have been enough to kind of equalize things. Conyard most likely pulling up the second refinery for Drive. It's going to be a good bit behind the refineries of everyone else. Looks like Futurama already got a portal deployed at his natural expansion. He's going to go ahead and take back his own Tiberium spike from Drive, so he's going to recapture that and make sure that Drive can't get too much more value from it. Shoktrepet down on the low ground. Drive finally dropping his second refinery. Attack bikes getting chased away. Shoktrepet going to try and go for a bit of harassment, but most of the open areas have been buttoned up. The defense is going to hold, it looks like, for our team in the south. A little bit of a swing in. Not enough of a catch there. Shielded Harvester doesn't even take any hull damage, so that's going to be nice for Tesla. Going for those hammerheads early on gives you so many options, and even an Orca Strike coming in there just to do a bit of damage to that power plant. We'll see if the downside of the delayed economy ends up killing Drive in the mid-game. Calls in for the transport on 5 MRTs. We can assume that there are rocket squads inside of them, and they get beaconed immediately by Shoktrepet, so it looks like an Awakened Squad does get the catch, does get the call. Hammerhead and MRT is going to be flying together. The EMP lands on the War Factory, slowing it down for just a moment there. At the same time, Tesla rolling out with a good bunch of Seeker tanks. These are unupgraded, but he is Reaper 17, so he's got some upgrades potentially coming in on those Seekers. For now, we'll just take a look at how these guys are able to handle this first attack against Shoktrepet. Seeker tank's going to be going for the Harvesters. Going to be able to pounce on perhaps a couple of them. Bike Buggy from Shoktrepet here for the defense. Futurama as well with a couple of Seeker tanks. Going to be able to push Tesla back for the current moment. And Drive, not much aircraft can do against that Scrin anti-air. Futurama drops down a couple of plasma missile batteries and really chases away the current crop of aircraft from Drive. Light harassment all around from Drive. He really was not able to find any kind of angle to do any serious damage. He got chased away from the front line, and, well, he hasn't actually been able to find too much more. Hammerhead takes a couple of shots there. Descent's going to get caught in the middle of the map. Ion Storm does deploy there as the night kind of shifts, as the map kind of shifts onto nighttime, and the mothership does appear. Drive beacons and Firehawks immediately the tier 3, so that's a potential shutdown. It looks like not of an Eradicator Hexapod because it is still building whatever Futurama had queued up there. A couple of more Seeker Tanks going to deploy. Finally, attenuated force field showing up here for Tesla, but it's just not enough. And Futurama trying to bust into Drive's main base. Drive still has not expanded down to the low ground, and these Seeker Tanks going to be trying to trade out against the MRTs, but the MRTs just have too much repair for this few number of Seeker Tanks. Keeping those MRTs and their transports fully loaded on health, fully stocked up. Shoktrepet up to the high ground. He's going to catch at least one Mechapod. No, he actually force fires on the ground. The Mechapede does survive for the current moment. Futurama coming in with his own Mechapeds. It looks like this game is going to be non-stop as the Stasis Shield grabs a big chunk of that bike buggy. It's going to be Mecha versus Mecha, Lightning Spike versus Lightning Spike, and that is pretty much it. As I think Futurama is just going to try and wait out this stasis so that the bike buggy comes back online. Firehawks making more bombing runs. It looks like Drive is able to make something happen with those, and there's going to be the tip vein detonation on top of this natural expansion. Tesla getting pummeled both from the GTI side or from the Scrin side and from the Nod side as the one-clicks come in, as the bike buggy gets out of lockdown as they charge forward and they hunt some harvesters. Mammoth tanks coming in, GDI for the rescue as the steel talons of Drive bring the pain. But on the low ground, it's going to be the MCV taking the damage from the Seeker tanks. Fortunately, it takes them about 100,000 years to knock down any of the buildings, so that MCV will be there for a couple of moments before those Seekers actually take it down. No defense and no way to escape. Tesla maybe losing that without much of a fight at all. Tesla's Mechapedes mostly getting taken down up here on the high ground, and GDI, well, Steel Talons nor Reaper 17 able to put any defense around that MCV, and it does fall. A Harvester from Futurama gets sniped, and it looks like Drive has been doing a good job of keeping his MRTs alive and, well, just now expanding to his natural after the Marv is out. Railguns and Grenadiers inside of this, so this Marv is going to be, I guess, ready to do something. Wait a second. That must be rockets, not railguns. I forgot for a moment that he is Steel Talons. As, well, hunting Mechapedes might get a free kill here almost on this Mechapede. It's basically just by itself hanging out. The Harvester as well completely exposed, and a second Mechapede with no actual segments finally adds on one segment, as it does manage to escape, at least for the current moment. Back onto the high ground. Futurama's Seeker tanks still looking for more damage. They find at least one Harvester, it looks like. Maybe not even one, as these two have taken a bit of damage there, but not enough to actually go down. Seeker tanks now reverse moving off of the high ground. Bike buggy swinging back around for Shoktrepet. He's marked of Kane, but we really haven't seen that many EMPs other than the one that locked down that command post a little while ago. We'll have to see if the EMPs factor in a little bit more as the epic units start rolling out onto this map. Marv going for the Marvist of the field in the south, the corner contested field, a good place for Drive to get a bit of late game income boost and deny it from his opponent. Steel Talons with those MRTs. I mean, the repair is nice, but the repair doesn't last against big burst damage if the Tibcore Sams get you surrounded. This is like 6 Mechapedes finally out on the field. Futurama finding another angle to try and sneak in with his Mechapedes. The Disc Mecha is going to find the Firehawks on the deck, get them both, lock them down completely and destroyed. Could even go for the Tech or the War Factory to try and shut down the Tier 2, but for now these Disc Mechas are just looking for any damage that they can find, taking the Titan, taking the Harvester as well. No crushes really for that Titan, and the Mechas are going to be able to escape. It looks like they're not going to go for any of the infrastructure targets. They're going to keep those power plants around for the current moment. MRTs managing to escape once again from the anti-air of our team in the north. Futurama taking the field in the north. It looks like he's got that big green field all to himself. And I mean, to be fair, he did kill completely Tesla's MCV, and it looks like Tesla never actually got out and got out a gravity stabilizer. So that's it for Tesla in terms of new buildings. Fortunately, Tesla's sitting on Tier 3. Does have the Tier 3 a little bit defended, a little bit back from the front line, which is important. EMP catches the Marv, and it looks like Drive might have outdone himself trying to Marv. It's a little bit too far away from his friends, and now his Marv is going to be taking just a crazy amount of damage with no real hope of saving in sight. Another EMP to lock it down. The Marv goes down, and Drive gets caught with his epic unit out, away from any support at the same time. Couple of Reaper tripods stepping forward. Tesla going to see what he can make work. Titans rolling in at the same time. These are unupgraded, non-railgun Titans. Not even adaptive armor on those things, or the railgun accelerator on those things, whatever that is. The stasis shield comes down, locking down all of the tripods and keeping these Titans mostly on their own. The defense a little bit weak and a little bit thin here, as it's mostly bike buggy. The attacking force in the south has not quite pivoted, and it's only a couple of rocket squads dealing with those Wolverines on the south side of this army. This might be just enough to break the front line, but I don't think Futurama is going to be giving up that easily. Drive presses on forward with Tesla dealing the brunt of the damage now that his Reaper tripods are out of stasis. Titans falling one after the other, and the MRTs coming in to snipe the Redeemer Engineering Facility. That will be it for the non-epic unit production, the complete shutdown of this frontline base, and it looks like the pain isn't going to stop there. Futurama on the north side really hasn't been able to establish much in the last couple of minutes. He got to that last base pretty darn late, and it looks like he was not able to harvest very much of it, which, you know, he really does need that in the bank. He really does need that army here and now to be able to deal with these forces from Drive. The MRT's still here, all 5 of them with that hammerhead from the very beginning of the game. Drive absolutely pulling it together with his air units, and finally the railguns are here, and he doesn't quite have, oh, it is called adaptive armor. I thought that was actually the wrong name for it, but it turns out it's correct. Shoktrepet falls to Tesla and Drive, and it looks like that might be it. Futurama has been defeated, normally on the same team as Drive. In this case, he is opposing him, and Shoktrepet has been defeated as well. The GG gets called, and that is game number 1, the 2v2, all done. Our first game all locked up. Actually, don't know who sent that in. I guess maybe Tesla sent it in, or maybe Drive, but that was a crazy action-packed game pretty much right from the get-go. Drive and Futurama ending up on opposite sides of each other, but Drive busting out the fun games with the odd build in the beginning, that fast airfield, but no orcas at all. The Firehawk's a good way to keep down the tech of your opponent, stratofightering to the other side of the map, and just keeping those epic units off the field. That was at least 2 potential denies there, as he sniped the Tier 3, and then later on ended up sniping, not with the Firehawks, but sniping the Redeemer Engineering Facility as well. So that's a potential 2 epic units that could have come onto the field over the course of that game that got completely denied by Drive and his air forces. Yeah, that Titan when Futurama rolled through Drive's base, I was just scrolling back through the chat as Lex brought up that Titan. Yeah, that Titan coming right out of that war factory at the right time, and I think Drive just didn't realize it. And then, you know, the Titan dies and doesn't get a chance to really crush any of the mechas. He crushed, I think, a couple of segments, but he didn't crush any of the actual mechapede heads. I grew up playing Red Alert 3. No, that's crazy. No one is young enough to have grown up playing Red Alert 3. Except, of course, that game came out 14 years ago. So it's definitely possible for someone to have been young when that game came out and, you know, be old enough to be watching Twitch, which I guess is what children do these days? I don't know. What do the kids do? Yeah, EA did make Red Alert 3. Yeah, the EA Los Angeles team may have taken over at Generals and 0 Hour. I don't remember when the transition was from... I don't know how that transition period worked, because I think Renegade had the EA logo at the front of it. But, yeah, EA LA made, I think, 0 Hour or Generals... and then, like, Battle for Middle-earth, and then I think one other strategy game, and then they did Command & Conquer 3, and I think technically Kane's Wrath was farmed out to someone else, and the core EALA team moved on from CNC 3 to Red Alert 3, and then I think Uprising was farmed out to someone else, and they were working on CNC, well, what turned into CNC 4, so... Ripple Effect Studios made Red Alert 3. What? Yeah, I don't know if that's... Yeah, I still don't really believe, going on what Zlex said, I still don't believe that it's March of 2022. It feels like maybe it's January. I think it's still January. It's been too long. Time is going too fast. Especially these last 3 years. EA, at the very least, published all of the Command & Conquer games. But, I've never heard of Ripple Effect Studios. Ripple Effect, an evolution of Battlefield's DICE LA. I think DICE and EA LA were working together when it was, like, Victory Games, maybe? I don't know, because the names of all of these companies get weird. Because Victory Games was making Command & Conquer Generals 2, which was then free-to-play Command & Conquer and all of that, so... Did DICE buy Ripple Effect, or Ripple Effect came out of old DICE? I don't know. All right, let's get into... I've got the second game queued up. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Welcome to Forgotten Forest, except it's the desert version of Forgotten Forest. On the left side, as the yellow Steel Talons, this is Senna. That's right, we have got yellow Steel Talons once again. Although, I guess last time it was green Steel Talons. But I meant we have Steel Talons once again. And once again, we also have Reaper 17 TheWankBank going to be representing with Senna over there on the left side of the map. Meanwhile, as the Cyan Traveler 59, this is Charles the Warmonk kicking it over here with the purple nod, Eknor. Eknor, I've definitely seen that name before, but I do not remember who it is. Or if maybe his name is just Eknor and I've just seen him in a game before and not necessarily seen him as a smurf of someone before. But Eknor and Warmonk versus Senna and TheWankBank. Which I love that there are some people who think that, like, that very few people know what the term wank means, and so then they think, oh my gosh, you don't know what you're saying. It's like, no, the guy just has a stupid name. But it's also not a slang where I'm from, so, you know. To me, it's just a dumb name. It's not anything that wild. But sometimes people think it's quite a thing. Steel Talons, Reaper 17 versus Traveler 59 and Nod. I guess we had a Marked of Kane in the last one, so this is, you know, kind of similar to Skrin, Steel Talons, and then instead of Marked of Kane, we've got just vanilla old Nod. We had some Traveler 50, or we have some Traveler 59 action. WarMonk getting his descents caught by Rifleman. Gets them all eaten up, so a little bit sad there for WarMonk, but I don't think he went stasis. I don't think he got fast leg, so that was not a big commitment to that descent pressure. It didn't necessarily really need to do some damage, but he still finds it not doing any damage. Expansions coming up from both teams, heading down to the south to go ahead and take those fields down there. Eknor going pretty deep with his MCV so that both players can get pretty decent build radius on the fields. Senna powering up quite nicely. Rifleman going for the scout, and Senna going to get a pretty good idea of what WarMonk is going for. Shardwalker making the walk out. WarMonk at the same time managing to sneak just a single descent into his opponent's base. And going to go for a bit of a scout as well. Bikes coming in here from Eknor. He went War Factory before Refinery on the expansion. So this could be a big push into, you know, like triple War Factory on this kind of a game. You know, with this expansion in the south, that's definitely doable, and it's definitely something that you can sustain for a little while, that triple War Factory production. Yeah, I might get banned in the UK. I'm not sure. Nerve Center comes down for the bank. Although I think he sent a game and his name was the Common Bank. So maybe he's pivoting his own name there. EMP or low power mode, it looks like, locking down that Nerve Center for just a moment. A little bit unfortunate there. Bike Buggy skirting around the map, looking for those angles, looking for some kind of opportunity to jump in and do some damage, but honestly, they haven't really found it. Eknor has been kind of searching for some damage, and the most he did was get the tip spike down to about 10% health or so, and now he's going to have to potentially just skate away. Double Refinery is the follow-up to this War Factory, so it's not a big push into units. It's just going to be a little bit of a slower build, and he's already got that double War Factory once his economy starts really going crazy. Senna, I think, maybe repositioning his MCV just a little bit there. AP ammo on the way for Senna. A couple of Seeker tanks coming in from WarMonk, so he's going to be able to get another scout, but in the north, they do get dealt with. Meanwhile, in the south, the bank losing some Seekers, losing some Shardwalkers as well, and the Bike Buggy is going to get turned around. I mean, it's mostly bikes. It's 3 buggies in this huge crowd of bikes coming out from Eknor. Tiberium in the north. Hey now, what in the world? Do we have a wormhole play coming up here? We may very well, and yes, we do indeed. He gets the MCV. There's the cell. Wank loses his MCV, and oh, he gets the engineer as well, but no, the engineer is not going for the tech center right away. He does get it eventually. Brilliant capture here as WarMonk gets both the MCV and the tier 3 of, well, actually, of Senna and the bank. He gets the tier 3 of one and the MCV of the other. The Prodigy eventually does go down. WarMonk managing to find the damage, but in the annoying way. He doesn't actually do the big damage to the army. Someone beacons the blue Tiberium, and it looks like the Bike Buggy heading down there for the defense. Senna's still got a pretty good Steel Talons army. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to keep pushing on forward. No railguns coming for a good little while with that tier 3 getting taken out that way. Meteor coming in the slow field as well, catches these Titans, slowing them down, disrupting this army a good bit, but Seeker and Titan coming together to try and break the middle of the map. Eknor is here as not. His first Harvester going to get targeted down and destroyed, but it looks like WarMonk showing up with the high-tech single unit of the tripod before the Bike Buggy comes in. That slow field still causing some problems for our friends on the left side, unfortunately. For Senna and the bank, he's having even more problems. Area mind control coming in and claiming one Titan, it looks like. And this Prodigy back out on the field, it seems. I'm not actually sure where it is, but it's somewhere out here. Bike Buggy swings back around to the north side once again. Okay, I don't know who was beaconing there for what, but something happening there perhaps. The front line gets busted. I thought eknor and Warmonk were going to be able to hold this, but the force is way too overwhelming here from Senna and the bank. Big dissent crowd coming in. eknor saying, hey, get your units onto the front line, but at this point it might be too little too late. They need to reform their front line, otherwise a bunch of Titans will go down to these dissents. We'll see how quickly the Shardwalkers can deal with them. The Titans now going to be pulling back. Where's the MCV deploy with some watchtowers? That would be nice to add a little bit of extra DPS to these Shardwalkers, and that's going to be the end for these dissents. They get themselves 2, maybe 3 Shardwalkers, and then they themselves are destroyed. eknor's MCV about to be going down. He's trying to sneak the Bike Buggy around the south side of the map. He's going to be able to find some damage against the Harvesters, but that does nothing to stop the army that's already out on the field, the army that is already marching its way across that map. I don't think a base race is really going to be a viable option, but he gets 3 Harvesters in short order, but he does nothing to stop Senna from continuing his march towards the right side of the map. Bank coming in here with some dev tanks as well. He's going to be adding some big DPS to this army. More Harvesters getting caught. Wank is going to have a really difficult time coming out of this economically, but he's already got a decent number of dev tanks. And I mean, hey, these dev tanks can destroy a lot of stuff before they get taken down. Bike Buggy coming back through. They just dumped a ton of missiles into that one Titan before getting wiped out by a watchtower. That Titan absorbing so many shots from that Bike Buggy and pretty much able to just absorb all of the damage and do a bit of damage to the Bike Buggy himself. A complete destruction, a complete shutdown of our team on the right side, despite the slick moves attempted to be pulled off here by the Warmonk. He's going cultists now, almost like panic fanatics coming out of a Nod player. These are panic cultists, but it's not enough. The GG gets called, and game number 2 is going to go to Senna and the bank. They're able to close that one out despite the wormhole shenanigans, which were quite fun to watch and are always extremely frustrating to play against. Senna, look at that economic advantage that he had, that economy exploding out and ahead. And that's why Senna, you know, is more of like a top 4 tournament player. One of the reasons being that economy, that macro, sets him apart from some of these other competitors. And that will do it for game number 2. We've got ourselves some more replays to jump into. Big thanks to you guys showing up for the live stream. Hope you're enjoying it. And of course, this VOD will be up on YouTube if you missed any of the games or if you can't stay for the full 7 and or 8 matches that are coming out of these replays today. Ooh, we've actually got Senna in another game as well. Zlex, you actually enjoyed Grey Goo? I liked some of the Grey Goo ideas, but ultimately it was just like too slow of a game. Heh, just joking because of the bikes. Cabal asking, this is 103, right? Because Charles is playing. Actually, let me look up real quick. That was a 1.02 plus. That is an old replay. I think these are all 1.02 plus games, but they're like R15, R16. They're not the most recent release 17, which is called release 18 because, you know, numbers are difficult. Okay, yeah, all of the games today are R15 or R16. None of them are release 17 of 1.02 plus. Which it's super easy because release 17 of 1.02 plus is actually called release 18. So Oh, there was an FPS lock on Grey Goo? I did not realize there was an FPS lock. Huh, why would they do that? That's kind of funny. I didn't realize. I mean, you know, I feel like the game just came out, but it came out 7 years ago? Was it a 2015 game? Something like that. But yeah, Grey Goo, I know some people are still playing it. Zlex, if you want to look into it, I mean, I think there's something called Quick Script. Wayward is always talking about Grey Goo stuff. And so I think they have some tournaments for Grey Goo. I'm not sure how many people actually show up for the tournaments or what the competition is like. But if you enjoyed Grey Goo, there is still somewhat of a scene for it. And there is a Quick Script mod, which I think cuts down the early game, because I think the early game was a lot of sitting around. And the Quick Script mod, I think, shortens that. Someone told me what it was at one point, but I forgot, and I didn't enjoy Grey Goo enough to go back to it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed some of the ideas in it. And I enjoyed playing it. I did not enjoy it very much as a competitive game. And I tried to go back and watch the... What did they call the championship? It might have just been called the Grey Goo Championship Series. I don't know. I tried to go back and watch that after it had happened, and it was... It's not a particularly compelling competitive game for me. So... But let's go ahead and jump into this next game. Welcome to Tournament Odyssey as the yellow black hand in the north. Give it up for Senna. And as the green GDI in the south, this is AsianinNorway. Is he actually an Asian in Norway? I don't know, but that is this guy's name. I've actually played some games against him in the past. He did stop me in a 1v1, but really nice guy in terms of all of the interactions I've had with him. Senna, on the other hand, hasn't ever played me in a 1v1, so I guess it's quite easy to say that Senna has never beat me in a 1v1. But of course, Senna would absolutely crush me. But I had some fun matches with AsianinNorway a long time ago in the past, and a long time ago being, I don't know, a year ago or something. And he was quite graceful in his wins. He was not he wasn't like making it miserable for me. So I've only had a couple of interactions with the guy, but they've always been positive, and he was trashing me in the game. So GDI versus Blackhand. What a circa 2015 matchup this is. GDI and Blackhand were just about the only viable factions. Remember when people only played GDI, Blackhand, or Traveler? No. Times have changed. People only play GDI. And Scrin? I don't know. I think it's just GDI now. People just play GDI. No, it's not all GDI mirrors, but there is almost always a strong GDI presence. If there is not some kind of rule about which factions you can and can't choose, then there's always a strong GDI presence. It's our one constant. Maybe there's a little bit more Marked of Kane action. There certainly was a little bit more Marked of Kane action in the Christmas Comes Late tournament. By the way, great event overall. If you haven't seen the VODs from the Christmas Comes Late tournament, you should definitely check them out on my channel. Zlex reminiscing about the Game Replays King of the Hill Grey Goo tournament or event. I've been wanting to do a King of the Hill, but haven't actually done it. Maybe one day King of the Hill can come back in Command and Conquer. Maybe one day. Senna playing very standard, very straightforward. AsianinNorway also seemingly playing very standard. Goes double War Factory before the Refinery, so perhaps a little bit of pressure, but I don't think this is going to be some kind of weird pivot into a super pressure all-in or something. off of, you know, like 1.5 bases as he gets his natural expansion up and running. I guess we'll see. Maybe he won't actually ever draft a refinery. Holding off, so actually this is a pretty committed focus on pit bulls to get this attack out. I'm not sure how much damage he's actually going to be able to get done with these pit bulls. Always love keeping a foxhole near your opponent. If you can get a foxhole up in their main, if you can go ahead and put that little bit of annoying damage on, especially a Nod power plant, that can be quite good. Okay, it looks like the refinery is on the way, so this pressure is not going to keep up forever. And for the current moment, Senna doing a good job of pivoting and just absorbing the damage from these pit bulls, keeping it off of his harvesters. So one harvester down to half health, and the other one's pretty much completely fine. Double refinery, and the war factory actually on the south side of the expansion, so no free repairs for those harvesters. A little bit of damage to this war factory, getting it down around 40% damage, so it still has 60% health, but Pitbull's swinging in, and the splash damage going to be doing a little bit of chipping away at some of those harvesters, really overkilling that bike there instead of putting most of the damage into these harvesters. It looks like 2 harvesters, I think they were completely full of Tiberium, getting sniped there. AsianinNorway managing to find the damage against Senna, going to take a couple of shots as he exits the base, and he's now got his own natural expansion up and running. Double refinery, lovely spread on those refineries as well, so they are in no way close to each other for some kind of TIB chemical missile, some kind of catalyst missile to take them down. Triple war factory. The MCV has not redeployed for Senna. I'm not sure why that is, but he's got his MCV running around doing nothing, and he went triple war factory off of 2 bases. You do not want to be bleeding Predator tanks into this army like this, although with the Pitbulls coming up, they may actually be able to muscle through this. There might be enough firepower if the Pitbulls will actually get in their game. But the Predator tanks, you definitely don't want to feed those in one at a time against triple war factory Nod player if they have got a ton of damage coming your way. MCV sell? No, MCV up to the high ground, so Senna is going to be taking his 3rd base at some point, just not just yet. Pitbulls and Predator tanks getting a bit separated from each other, but at least the Preds pulled back to their natural expansion. And it looks like Senna is going to be faster on the 3rd than AsianinNorway is, but maybe AsianinNorway will prioritize the tech. No, not so much. He's had that command post for a little while, and no Tier 3 on the way. So no rail guns, but he will have AP ammo in relatively short fashion. Also, no quick Marv off of 2 bases. You can do a Marv off of 2 base. You might want to put that more into these Predator tanks. And these APCs getting overwhelmed by this bike buggy. Most of the buggies standing on the front line, absorbing a lot of that damage. The Pred APC continues rolling on forward. This is a lot of bikes going down, but they will stop this Pred APC from reaching the natural expansion. No rockets included in this army. And actually, the attack bike's pulling back, almost getting completely battered. Still, no rockets joining this fight. Those rockets are really needed for that additional firepower to take down those Predators that much more quickly and absorb that damage. The bike swinging back over to the natural expansion, to the main base, where a couple of Pitbulls are harassing the harvesters of Senna. The attack on the natural has not been beaten back. It is still pressing on forward. The war factories are gone. Senna, trying to transition into a 3rd base, is going to be putting his infrastructure on the high ground and using the rest of his stuff to just hold off this army and buy him time as he rebuilds up on that high ground. AsianinNorway, it seems like, has found an angle, and maybe he has found a bit of a tired Senna who seems to be playing a bit sloppy and making some uncharacteristic mistakes after we just saw an amazing performance by Senna in that previous game. Now we are seeing a truly lackluster performance by the same player, but on a different day, and perhaps even this was an R15 game. I don't actually remember that, but this might have been an R15 game, and so this might have been quite some time ago. that Senna did play this match. Now we've got a ton of rockets coming in here. Not actually that many. A ton might be a bit overstating it, but a decent number of rockets. They're going to be able to clean up one Predator tank before the Crush gets on top of them. Second Predator tank does go down, and not enough Preds to really effectively crush through all of these rockets quickly, so it's going to take a little bit of more time for Senna to actually get the big clump there. Finally, that Predator tank gets almost all of those rockets in that clump, and only a few rockets remain against the APCs of Asian in Norway. Tib Spike does get targeted down. Looks like one of the Tib Spikes is going to be going down, but this other Tib Spike has been captured by Senna. A couple of rockets heading down, of course, with those Black Hand members. They're going to be able to burn through the undefended main base of Asian in Norway quite quickly. Third base comes up. Refinery's still a pretty good split on them. He's not getting slack with his judgment on those refineries. War Factory goes down. Watchtower goes down. Refinery is going to be preserved for a couple of moments longer, and the Pitbulls still attacking those Tib Spikes. APC is rolling up. Asian in Norway has not been able to break this this natural expansion of Senna, which is a bit of a problem. The fact that Senna has gotten all of this additional Tiberium that he was able to harvest and not have to deal with the attacks on his third base, and instead the attacks are washing upon his natural expansion. That's a bit of a problem for Asian in Norway. Asian in Norway, of course, has set himself up quite nicely on the high ground. A really hard transition into hammerheads, going 9, maybe even 10 hammerheads as this double airfield pumps hammerheads into this map. And this is a great opportunity for Asian in Norway to pivot to the north while his hammerheads keep the rest of this army busy in the middle of the map and attack Senna directly. So Asian in Norway still has a pretty clear path to victory. Senna, on the other hand, hasn't been able to explode onto this third base. He's just sort of slowly transitioning over there, keeping it looks like one harvester back on his natural expansion. Absolutely fine there, and he's going to keep that Tiberium down. There's the sell-off of that second airfield, keeping around just one airfield, and these hammerheads are going to be able to absolutely destroy this spread-out rocket squad army. Going to be able to overwhelm them as they pass by them. Even better, the rocket squads didn't stop to attack, so no hammerheads will go down in the... What in the world? Oh, Senna, letting an MCV pass you by. This is clearly a game where Senna is paying not much attention at all. Sam site gets completely overwhelmed, and the hub gets taken down. He didn't even have to target down the turrets. He killed that SAM site so quickly, and now going to be focusing on the refinery. Could have maybe queued up on the power plants before the SAM site got deployed. And, ooh, Asian in Norway going directly for the hub once again. Only loses one hammerhead, so this really isn't that big of a problem. Shuts down the build radius, and it looks like the radar jamming missile firing off there, but pretty much all of the infantry getting cleaned up, and Senna doesn't have a very strong transition plan. As the Orca Strike comes in, gets pretty lucky with nailing that harvester with a big chunk of damage, and now Senna is going to have to basically encircle his base 360 with power plants and SAM sites. Bit of a difficult thing for Senna to do. It is going to be coming down to these third bases. Asian in Norway is trying to make it not come down to the third bases as he takes a potential fourth. I guess he does technically have a refinery here, but not much in terms of infrastructure. Senna getting the same idea. Only one war factory on the high ground, but 3 refineries, so he is burning through that field nice and quick. Under normal circumstances, you don't want to go up to 3 refineries, but hey, it's going to help you harvest that field much more quickly, and in this case, you're not really interested in being the most efficient. 2 refineries is a fast enough way to harvest a field. 3 refineries, you burn through medium to small Tiberium fields a little too quickly for most games. You can't really spend that cash, but if you're in panic mode and you just want to get the cash, then 3 refineries is fine. I'm not sure if he's actually spending all of that cash, but, you know, he'll be okay to sell off 1 or 2 of them in a couple of moments. Hammerheads pivot down to the south side. Tib Spike might be a little bit of an early warning system for Senna. He's going to get good vision of these hammerheads as they swing in. His natural expansion he has been able to re-secure with his giant ground army. And the hammerheads waiting to pounce potentially on this base, take everything down, and kind of make Senna just out in the open kind of awkwardly. Senna not going to the south, instead going to try and find his purchase back on the right side of the map, take back over his original main base, and targeting down the power plants one after another. Doesn't quite get them enough into the low power mode, and Senna forced to deploy his MCV, build power plants, and it looks like AsianinNorway, I feel like he could have weathered that a little bit longer and gone for the power plants, jumped on the buggy, or the buggies, and taken them down directly. Predator tanks moving forward. AsianinNorway once again going for the crush. Manages to get it a little bit there, but the micro isn't there. And AsianinNorway does not make good use of that crush from the Predator tanks to be able to hold off this army for a bit longer. Enough black hand squads here that they can do a lot of damage to buildings extremely quickly. Hammerheads are somewhere out on the map, but I'm not sure where they actually ended up. MCV now under threat. Senna is gonna make this attack work with pretty much just rocket squads. He does pivot a little bit here. A couple of mantises are here, and the harvesters now coming in for the crush. Those harvesters able to tank a lot of rocket damage, but it's now up to the APCs, and there just is not enough APCs with the double barracks reinforcing even the operations center on the front line. AsianinNorway falling to pieces a little bit here. He should still have a hammerhead army out somewhere on the map, hanging out somewhere, ready to move in and do some damage, but maybe he lost all of those hammerheads off screen. I'm not exactly sure. A couple of watchtowers getting deployed. AsianinNorway coming so close to victory, and now it feels like it's being snatched from him. Senna able to hold off with this base on the high ground, looking to take back his main base, but the APCs coming in, 3 of them, and the watchtowers just enough to maybe break this attack. 1 more APC showing up, 2 more APCs, and yes, the attack has been broken. A laser turret getting added on. It's a little bit too late, and now we have an extremely low econ situation for both of these guys. They've got some refineries, some harvesters out on the field, but not as much Tiberium under their control as they would like. This is a decent chunk of Tiberium, and the main base of AsianinNorway is also a decent chunk of Tiberium, but it's just so far away from his refineries. Tib spike getting targeted down, those tib spikes being more and more valuable as the Tiberium on the map disappears. APCs rolling through the new base of Senna. Laser turrets taking their shots, stopping these APCs from escaping. Those laser turrets doing some good damage to the APCs, able to just absorb, or able to just fire at them as they sit there. And these APCs not able to clean up those turrets very quickly. Watchtowers versus laser turrets. Those pitbulls still working away at those tib spikes. AsianinNorway was able to maintain control of that one, but Senna only captured one of AsianinNorway's tib spikes, so that's good for him. First laser hub goes down there, but the watchtowers are actually starting to slowly just work down at the laser hubs, and since you can take out the individual turrets, then, well, the hub doesn't do any damage by itself. So I guess you could forever be playing a game of whack-a-mole with those laser turrets and just taking them down very, very slowly. Wow, I have no idea what happened to those hammerheads. There were so many hammerheads and only a couple of buggies. And the hammerheads, I guess, got knocked out? Sonic Emitter catches the MCV. That's a huge chunk of damage done against that MCV right there. The Tier 3 coming up for AsianinNorway is truly going to be his saving grace. He maintains at least one airfield, and the MCV manages to escape for the current moment. AsianinNorway has weathered the storm. His MCV did not fall to the massive amount of Black Hand infantry I thought it was going to, but somehow it did survive. Rocket squads are not actually present in this army. They're all the way over there. So the Pitbull is going to get a couple of shots off before they finally go down. These 3 Mantises so extremely low on health. They look big and scary against a Hammerhead army, but honestly, the Hammerheads could probably jump on them and take down those Mantises before they fire off their full volley of rockets. Power plants getting targeted down, fresh watchtowers being added on, and those Black Hand squads have to close the distance before they can really start burning down those buildings. Reinforcements getting cut off a little bit here. Would have loved it if he had been able to grab that defensive tower earlier on in this game. That would be absolutely amazing in this moment. But, of course, he doesn't quite have it yet. Juggernaut's closing in. You just need to close in on that MCV and get a couple of shots to take it down. The APC's trying desperately to clear it out, to take it down. Senna hanging on by an absolute thread, but the Juggernauts might be the doom. The APCs and the Juggernauts together might be able to finally do it. The APCs reverse moving into the rockets as some mistakes being made on both sides. Where are the Hammerheads? I swear that Hammerheads keep getting built, and it's like they're not your ideal choice against rocket squads, but they're going to do better than just leaving the Juggernauts by themselves to face against the rocket squads. And finally, everything from the ground does get cleaned up. Senna, his MCV has managed to escape. He got an engineer into it. Senna absolutely playing his own game, his game of whack-a-mole, where it looks like he is the mole, and Senna is, and AsianinNorway is doing the whacking. We'll have to see, is he able to break this final base of Senna, or will Senna manage to escape once again? I keep thinking these Juggernauts are going to target down the MCV, but they have, like, not fired once upon that MCV. And finally, AsianinNorway has indeed done it. He's going to be able to snipe a couple of Harvesters over here on the left side, and Senna calls the GG, has been defeated, and that will do it for game number 3. So congratulations to AsianinNorway. He managed to pull out a win against Senna, but that was definitely not the best performance from Senna that we have seen. The opening was fine, but boy, that natural expansion and on, Senna making a lot of mistakes. Not the typical Senna that we've seen in the last, I don't know, 6 months or a year. This is perhaps a little bit older than that, or it was just an off game for him. I guess AsianinNorway just has a way of disrupting other people. Oh, that was an R16 game. The 2v2 on Forgotten Dunes, that was an R15 game. Oh, goodness, that replay was a year old. Ugh, in 2 days, that replay turns 1 year old. So, that was an old Senna game for sure. Look at that, we got Zlex Pro, we got Sparty live also here. Bringing the no commentary, old Sparty boy. I invited him to cast some replays today, and he said, no, I'm just too busy for you, Cybert. I don't want to cast games with you. I don't want to be your friend. Spartacus just said, leave me alone. I don't want to cast any games. So if you want to see Spartacus cast some games, he's here watching in the chat, but he's not casting, and that's just how he rolls, I guess. Poppy20 asks, this is rounds 1? I don't know what that means. We got 7 replays we're checking out today. We've got 3 of them that we've already seen, 4 more coming up. There is a mystery 8th replay, but I'm going to have to try and get it working on the fly because in the current moment I can't load the map because it's one of the 1.02 plus like in-between versions, so I'm going to have to close Kane's Wrath, try and get that figured out. And that'll be the 8th game, or we'll just finish with 7 games. By the way, if you missed the first 3 games, the VOD will be up on YouTube in a couple of days, so yeah, in a couple of days, I should say that. I was going to say tomorrow, but no, I don't know that it'll be up tomorrow. And if it is up tomorrow, I don't know that you'll actually be able to watch it tomorrow, because last time I uploaded a stream, it took YouTube like 2 full days of processing to actually get it past, you know, like 360p. So sometimes you upload something and then YouTube takes a little while. I don't know why. Apparently it takes YouTube a while to process 4 hours of a single video. I'm almost out of tea, and we're not even halfway through. We might have to take a tea break after this next game. We'll see how my voice is feeling. All right, we've got a 2v2. So welcome to Forgotten Forest. Of course, one of the numerous Tournament Rift. I always forget that Tiberium Rift is actually the name of the custom version of the map, and Tournament Rift is the official name. One of the 2v2 variants of Tournament Rift. So if you're missing some Tournament Rift action in your 1v1s, well, at least it is here, living on in spirit in 2v2s. On the left side, as the Red Traveler 59, this is Modii. Or maybe Modii? It's Modii. I don't know. On the left of him, as the Mark of Kane, this is Dizzlicious. Will he be showing some delicious gameplay today? We shall see. He also has a very fun spelling of his name, so we'll try and not say it wrong. Meanwhile, as the pink Mark of Kane, double Mark of Kane in this game, this is Tars. And as the orange Black Hand, it is a triple nod game. This is Unlimited. Triple nod factions / sub-factions represented in this match. And no actual nod, and actually no vanilla factions at all. So Traveler 59, Mock, and Black Hand, all represented. EMP catches this buggy in the middle of the map. So we got to see a 2v2 on Wasteland Dam in game number 1. Oh, whoa, MCV cell right out of the gate. Tars going big on the double War Factory MCV cell. I do believe this is a mistake because he should have... Oh, wait, no, here it is. Okay, he has the double power plant. Is double power plant enough, or do you need 3 power plants? No, 2 power plants is enough. So he's going to be fine there as we cycle out of all of their individuals. And look at this, Unlimited and Tars going for the double aggro play right out of the gate. The MCV does deploy in the south, so it's not an all-in all the way from both of our guys on the right side, but the pressure is coming. Tars, with his pink bikes in the north, is going to target down one Harvester, but no, he doesn't get it. The Harvester manages to escape, at least for now. It's going to go ahead and get some repairs. Dizzlicious, with his own bike buggy swarm, is here to defend. Meanwhile, in the south, we have some flame tanks making our way towards the left side of the map somewhere. Okay, they do get beaconed once again. Modii does say, hey, check this out. Make sure that we don't lose to this single flame tank in the south. There is at least going to be one flame tank in the north as well. We'll try and keep an eye on all of these flame tanks as they make their way across the map. Bikes do manage to grab this. This does weaken the defense up north, but is it going to be enough to really make a difference? The flame tank is here. Unlimited coming in here with perhaps some unlimited fuel to burn down these Skrin buildings. Seeker Tank's going to get jumped on as this bike buggy swings around to the left side. The refinery gets targeted, and Seekers and Descents rather going to finally get some damage onto this flame tank. The flame tank breaks its attack and kills the Descents before finishing off the refinery. And this looks like a pretty heavy price to pay for just a single refinery on a 2v2 map when Modii already has a refinery in the south, although it looks like Modii doesn't have a second refinery in the north, so this is actually a pretty big shutdown of his economy percentage-wise, knocking down 50% of his refineries in that one move. Bit of a bizarre choice to do only one refinery in the north, but maybe the other refinery already got sniped or the pressure just came so quickly that he was unable to make anything happen. Looks like the MCV is going to be the transition for Tars, I'm assuming, since he sold off one of his war factories. And why would you sell off the war factory if you're not planning to transition out of this all-in? And I'm not sure that this all-in did the kind of damage that you're really looking for. If you go double war factory MCV sell, a single refinery is not really the game-ending damage that you're hoping for, especially since there's now 2 refineries on the south side of the map for Modii, and he can easily place another refinery back up here in the north to get his economy back where it should be, and heading his way towards 4 refineries very soon. So really feels like a solid opening for Modii and Dizzlicious, entirely by defending. This almost went terribly. That refinery down to about 1/3 of its health, and this flame tank finally making its way through. The EMPs are great, but where are the actual units to stop it? Another EMP fires off just in enough time to give more time for Modii and Dizzlicious to find their defenses. Flame tank is going to go down. The bikes do encircle it almost, as they encircle it with rockets, perhaps. Refinery comes in just in time to get burned down. Unlimited finding the damage, but it's not really packaged with anything. These are just random flame tanks sneaking in and actually getting some pretty serious damage done. These 2 flame tanks, the follow-up, did more damage than the initial attacks did from Tars and Unlimited in the first phase of this game. Now, the refineries in the south still slow, still a bit late, but this second wave of attacks actually did a significant amount of damage to slow down the infrastructure and the setup of these guys in the north. Dizzlicious with so many of these harvesters, just a parking lot waiting to unload that Tiberium. I was suddenly thinking, like, what if in StarCraft 2 you could only have, like, 4 workers unloading at a single command center or whatever, a single town hall? You could only have, like, 4 of them unloading at one time, so if you tried to long-distance mine, you could actually just mess up your mining pattern. That's a little bit what that feels like, having all of that Tiberium, just, like, 10,000 credits, just waiting to be refined, but you can do nothing about it. Tars, he puts the pressure on someone else, but can he take the heat himself? It seems like he's doing an okay job so far. He may end up losing some of these Scorpion tanks to these Seekers and this Lightning Spike. He really doesn't have much in terms of defense. Meanwhile, on the south side of the map, Unlimited continuing to put out the damage. This bike buggy going to be trading against Dizzlicious, and eventually I think Unlimited is going to try and get some Harvester kills as well. Give it to Unlimited. He is bringing the pain from our team on the right side. He is the one actually managing to find the damage and do the damage to the team on the left side. Meanwhile, Tars taking another hit as these descents come in here. He pulls out the Shredder turrets to try and pivot his defense and make something happen because the Scorpion tanks weren't cutting it alone. But the descents do go down. The economy can finally stabilize a little bit there for Tars, and I think Tars, with this expansion, no, that's not actually a refinery. It was right on the Tiberium field. I thought this was going to be a refinery based on the mini-map, but no, it is actually a war factory, and he is producing Dozer Blade Scorpions. Maybe we'll be working our way towards, no, that's right, he's Mark of Kane. So, no laser capacitors from anyone. We've got 2 Marked of Kane and 1 Black Hand player, so there will be no laser capacitor Scorpions as a late-game transition. Buzzer Swarm comes in, but it may be too late. The last couple of rockets crash into that blue Tiberium harvesting harvester and kill it off. So the rockets trade their life. The descents come in for another pass. The Seeker tank, or this Shredder turrets are here, and the Scorpion tank's going to be responding as well. Those Dozer Blades giving them a lot more longevity against those descents than otherwise they would have. A couple of these blue Tiberium harvesters may end up just going down before they can actually refine any of that delicious blue Tiberium for Modii. And no, actually the bike breaks off the attack, and the buggies did not commit to the attack of that harvester, so he does escape, albeit with not very much HP. Harvester's getting targeted once again. Complete whiff there on that EMP, but it's so hard to nail bikes with an EMP. You really have to get it far enough ahead of them so that they don't just bypass it, because they are so quick. Half of a descent squad showing up here, like 3 individual members. Is that actually... oh, that might be 2-3 different descent squads, all at an absolute minimum amount of health. And they're eventually going to go down to those Scorpion tanks. The Crush is the faster way to deal with that. Tib troopers are here, and into the garrisonable structure go those cultists. So they will eventually lead to the death of those Tib troopers, but the cultists themselves may not be able to do very much with these buggies here waiting for them. Dozer Blades versus Dozer Blades. It looks like laser turrets are also here. Unlimited versus Dizzlicious in a Scorpion tank match. These two guys just going at it. The other two not really participating in this game. Unlimited and Dizzlicious able to, well, find a little bit of trading back and forth, but not necessarily a clear advantage. Temporal Wormhole coming in to slow down those units. Modi's Harvester just hanging out there for some reason, taking just the smallest amount of damage from those Raider buggies. And, well, goodbye Scorpion tanks. They do get slowed down in the slow field and destroyed eventually. The contested field in the south looks like is going to be going to Dizzlicious. Meanwhile, in the north, Modii is going to try and take his field in the north. The middle of the map can absolutely be the decider on this style of map, and we will see if they're able to make it happen. Those hallucinated army units don't really do too much against Shredder turrets. Shredder turrets fire so quickly, they just take down the decoy army without much real benefit. Scorpion tank's going to be coming in from Tars. Finally, Tars able to do something in this game and really put his mark on this map. Cultists trying to find an angle, trying to find something to do in the north side of the map, but maybe there's just too much there that it will kill them for them to really do anything. Scorpion tanks keeping up the pressure. Dizzlicious without too much more defense other than those Scorpion tanks. Well, I guess it's not going to be a problem because Tars turns completely around and he doesn't even take down the Harvesters right there on the front line. Tars turns tail and runs. He has got this Eradicator Hexapod that he's a bit more worried about. EMP coming in to lock down the Eradicator Hexapod. Once again, locking it down. Just keep up that EMP. Now the phase going to be keeping that Eradicator Hexapod alive for the current moment. Descents crashing into those Scorpion tanks and getting a couple of kills right out of the gate. If only you had 1,000 Spectres able to fire upon that Eradicator Hexapod, then you could take it down even inside of phase. Eventually, it does die, but it just takes an extremely long time. And I think it might be only certain types of damage do work through phase. It's just an extremely small amount of damage. All right, EMPs coming in. These Raider buggies from Unlimited. He doesn't have those lovely Marked of Kane Awakened squads, so he is unable to do that. Phase wears off, and this Eradicator Hexapod gets EMP'd again. The rear armor showing to those rockets, and the Eradicator goes down to those rockets. A couple of tripods are here, as well as the Corruptors. The Corruptors, if they can close the distance, can work through infantry pretty quickly, but not against that many rocket squads. Modii and Dizzlicious setting themselves up in the middle of the map, and they have not been uprooted from their central locations, although they still also haven't harvested that Tiberium, which is a serious amount of cash just waiting to be grabbed by someone. Tars and Unlimited, they're maybe pivoting to their own epic units. Maybe not so much Tars. I think Tars is just having trouble keeping his head above water in this game. He has dropped a couple of disruption towers, which is a nice way to sort of benefit your team, to be a little bit of a team player and, you know, giving that radius of stealth to everyone. Tripods ready to go. Storm Column is here as well. Masterleaf actually just sharing that Storm Columns actually disrupt rockets, but it's an extremely small amount. So you can have rockets misfire via storm column, but you just don't really ever see it. 3 harvesters perhaps about to get sniped. You had the 3rd one going down right there as maybe the last rockets smash into it. Finally, a 4th harvester goes down as well. And these obelisks, I mean, they're nice, and they will eventually take down the bike buggy, but 5 harvesters getting cleaned up, that really puts a damper on your 3rd base if you are Dizzlicious. Modii, on the other hand, is Devastator warships stepping forward. He's got those Traveler engines, so he can escape a bit more quickly with his air units. And those 5 harvesters really putting a damper on this 2 refinery economy that's in the middle of the map. Rage Gen fires off, claiming 3 Scorpion tanks, maybe even 4. No, the obelisk doesn't fire. Almost it did there, but it doesn't quite fire, so both of those remaining Scorpion tanks, they have seen some stuff, man. They have seen too much, and too many of their friends fall in battle. Cultists getting targeted but not actually eliminated finally go down as the Eradicator Hexapod spawns in. Just now going to be joining the front line. All 4 of these guys locked in battle and no clear winner. Modii and Dizzlicious feel like they should have an unbeatable advantage, but I'm not actually sure if that is true. And, well, these Spectres, who's got Spectres? Where did that fire just come from? Was that Vertigo's? Not actually sure what that was. Modii turning to the south from the north. His tripods coming around the lake and going to be able to eat up those Scorpion tanks very quickly. Samsite getting called in to try and deal with these Devastator warships. Hopefully they're going for the MCV to shut down the build radius of Unlimited. Rage Gen perhaps firing off for both sides, at least for one of them. And Bike Buggy trying to come in from the side to find the angle. Modii unable to keep up the attack, backs off as that MCV, I think, gets, nope, doesn't take a lick of damage. That MCV completely safe here as Spectre Artillery firing from the side of Dizzlicious. From the Dizzlicious side, perhaps. Obelisk gets deployed on the front line. The slow field once again activated, keeping that Redeemer there and allowing it to be targeted down and destroyed. Unfortunately for Modii and Dizzlicious, they took some damage to get that much damage. These Devastator warships still not targeting the MCV, actually going to allow that MCV to escape, although it's now completely vulnerable to any attack at all. Any attack could do some potentially devastating damage to that MCV, but now it's stealthed, and, well, I guess it's going to be absolutely fine here. Stealth tanks are here. Decoy army gets deployed by Dizzlicious. Heads to the front line with it. Oh, that might have been a Shadow team earlier and not actually Spectres. Well, there are Spectres out now, even if that was a Shadow team earlier. Those photon cannons with the Shard upgrade just do so much damage against low health, low armor units like bikes. Crane actually has been deployed by Modii. A bit of a surprise there, but does keep him online if anything happens on the front line. Magnetic mines get deployed. This Eradicator Hexapod taking a bit of damage. The EMP going to allow that Eradicator Hexapod to just take damage without dealing any damage. The Corruptor hasn't actually been taken out. Almost it goes down, but it still does stand. So it's still healing up that Eradicator Hexapod little bit by little bit. The MCV finally getting targeted. Tars, he may be falling here as he deploys he deploys himself an Obelisk of Light, but not much more than that as his MCV gets eliminated. His one hope is that he can kill off this Eradicator Hexapod and shut down the aggression from our team on the left side. But once again, the phase comes in. The phase, the true king of skill, is going to allow that Eradicator Hexapod to survive a good bit longer. A couple of harvesters could get targeted down. They're basically empty, so they're not hugely important in this moment, but killing 2 harvesters is basically always nice. Rage Gen fires off, but it's not fast enough. The Eradicator Hexapod actually claims a bunch of value from those dead descents. And that Tib, the little Tib trooper inside of that Redeemer the animation didn't even look like it played when it killed all of those descents. And that is one nice thing about having the Tib Trooper inside of the Redeemer, is it does slow down vehicles. So, like, this Eradicator Hexpod is just moving so slowly, trying to get back to safety, trying to get away from that Redeemer of Tars. And Tars does manage to hold on to his MCV. He does manage to hold on to his Redeemer. And although the Skrin forces are coming for it, the magnetic mines do get deployed. And no, I'm not actually sure whose magnetic mines those were. Those must have been Dizzlicious's magnetic mines, a little bit late to the party there. And the Seeker tanks get caught by the EMP, a wonderful EMP, locking down so many of those Seekers. And this Redeemer just barely may be able to hold on, with Unlimited coming in with the saving Redeemer to come in here and finish off those Skrin forces. The Eradicator Hexpod teleports backwards. The engineers do get sniped, and that one tripod husk may just end up getting claimed by no one, as it may get sniped by one of these epic units. Ooh, sells off. Oh, we got the Saboteur though. So the Saboteur did deploy out of that barracks. In a second, this Eradicator Hexpod got down there pretty quick. I think it may have been teleported down to the south to save it. And always nice to be able to teleport that Eradicator Hexpod away. Once again, the Seeker tanks coming in from the north, able to just find a bit of damage and dive in to kill some stuff off. Eventually, the Seekers all do go down. That Harvester not being put back to work. A bit unfortunate there. Tars and Unlimited taking a ton of damage, but they still have not fallen. They still do have a fighting chance left in this game, and the EMPs have absolutely been saving them in this match, really keeping them alive in this game. War Factory on the front line, free repairs, more EMPs, as Shredder turrets and perhaps even power plants getting deployed and sold off to just try and keep this Eradicator Hexapod out of power for a longer and longer amount of time. Tripod does get harvested, or does get saved by that engineer, just to be blasted by those Redeemers, but it will maybe escape as that Tripod marches its way away from the front line. The Redeemers turn back their attention to the Redeemer of Dizzlicious, and Dizzlicious somehow not able to finally target down Unlimited's Redeemer, and this is just trading teeny tiny health bars for our team on the right side. They just barely are holding on. They've got their Redeemers still here, but it looks like in the south their base may be falling. Tib Vane detonation fires off. Spectre artillery breaking the base in the south. Tars and Unlimited have held on in the north just barely with their secret war factory, with their disruption towers, giving them that stealth. But in the south, they have crumbled. Unfortunately for Unlimited and Tars, I think that's the end of the road, as Unlimited calls the GG, and it all comes down to Tars. Now a Marked of Kane Blackhand combination player. That will do it for game number 4. Dizzlicious and Modii able to make it work. Those two guys coming together to withstand some early aggression, but in the end, bringing the aggression to their opponents. Those early builds from Unlimited and Tars, they were never able to recover economically from those. Early on, keeping things relatively equal, but as the game progressed on, as the middle of the map got claimed by Modii and Dizzlicious, they just were not able to keep up. Tars and Unlimited, not unlimited money in that game. Yeah, Unlimited and Tars, they were definitely cut down by their own opening. They had a very weak economy after those first couple of minutes. They were never really able to power up fully, and do what they were hoping. Yeah, they definitely were on the defensive, and it's kind of surprising. Modii and Dizzlicious took a really long time to actually win that game, even though they had, on paper, like a very clear advantage. But, yeah, the other two guys did a really good job of fighting back as much as they could. All right, welcome back to Tournament Odyssey. We have in the north as the purple, this, as the purple marked of Kane, is FieldsofGreen, who I think is Jake White, but I'm not 100%, so we'll just call him FieldsofGreen. Meanwhile, in the south, kicking it as the vanilla scrin, plain red, this is BikeRushOwnz. So, is this a cool game from Bike Rush, or did FieldsofGreen manage to get a win on Bike Rush? And so, this is actually going to be a bit of a disappointment, because, you know, like, Bike Rush was, I don't know, like asleep while he played this game or something. So, I don't know. I don't know who sent in this replay. It could have been either one of them. And normally, if it's a Bike Rush game, that doesn't go into the sub replays folder, but maybe I mislabeled this one. Who even knows? But we got FieldsofGreen versus BikeRushOwnz. Marked of Kane versus Scrin. And if this is Jake White, then yeah, this is either going to be a crazy mismatch, or maybe BikeRushOwnz does something really bizarre. But I guess we'll see. Scrin versus Marked of Kane on Tournament Odyssey. People always say, you know, Tournament Odyssey, Tournament Highlands, they're nod-favored maps. So, maybe with Bike Rush playing Scrin, that kind of... Okay, here we go. So this may be a little bit of a fun one. This Marked of Kane build, you know, I've done this when I forget that I'm playing Marked of Kane and that I don't have flame units. So it's going to be a Reckoner? 2 Reckoners? No, just 1 Reckoner. That is an Awakened squad. And you can follow this up with Bike Buggy and then basically more Awakened squads, and you try and EMP everything that your opponent has and hope that they've gone big eco, which Bike Rush has gone decent eco. This MCV does scout, does see that Awakened squad there, and also now he's about to see the Reckoner as well, although I think the Reckoner tried to pull away. Maybe he saw the bikes instead. The MCV does deploy in the south, so it's a bit far away, but it's going to be up to the EMPs to lock down this war factory. And, okay, what can the rocket squads do against the power of these seeker tanks? 1 EMP is nice, but you typically need a little bit more than that. There's the deploy right in between the war factory and the refinery where you would normally want it. The bikes are now here as well to add that extra bit of DPS. Jake White, a.k.a. maybe FieldsofGreen, may have found the perfect spot for that Reckoner. These bikes adding that extra DPS that he needs, and we'll see how Jake Bike Rush is able to respond to this. Another EMP potentially coming in here. I think this is a new Awakened squad, but no EMP fires off. He gets claimed by the buzzers. Harvester getting slowed down, and the rockets finally take him down, trading out a good number of bikes for this attack, but he gets at least 1 Harvester there, maybe 2, as another portal does deploy, and these seeker tanks taking just so much damage. FieldsofGreen managing to make the damage happen. Buzzer Swarm deploys right there on the front line and gets the kill on everything as it exits that Reckoner. 4 Harvesters, no real defense for FieldsofGreen. Bike Rush, on the other hand, he's up to 4 Harvesters as 3 Harvesters as well. Maybe we'll have a 4th relatively soon, but he's got those double refineries, so his Harvesters are actually, well, never mind. FieldsofGreen now deploys his own second refinery, so his ratio is now cleaned up. And both of these guys, I guess, are going to proceed into a fairly normal game from here. It feels maybe a little bit even. BikeRushOwnz had not enough harvesters. Fields of Green had not enough refineries. And now they're both going to be looking towards their natural expansion and I think just a normal progression of this game. No tech advantage for Fields of Green. He didn't manage to get out any upgraded power plants either. So no real long-term advantage from that ops center. We'll see. Maybe Fields of Green is going to be able to sneak in some big damage with this bike buggy, but I'm not sure how much he'll really be able to get done. Okay, what is this? Okay, the Hand of Nod is just deployed, you know, in a somewhat defensive position. No, there is another Reckoner out. Where did the second Reckoner come from? It's the same thing again, but maybe this time it's going to be hitting at the natural expansion. There is more area to defend. BikeRushOwnz has a larger surface area that can be attacked and potentially exploited. But of course, BikeRushOwnz also has a third refinery up. He's also got his natural expansion starting to rock and roll. So I'm not sure how well version 2 of this same thing from earlier, how well version 2 is going to work. Photon cannons here on the front line is always really nice to have as well. When you're BikeRushOwnz and you're defending against this, that photon cannon or two now, since he deploys a second one. On the field, on the edge of the field. Okay, so he's out of range of the photon cannon, and he's just going to try and chip away at these seeker techs, which actually could turn out really well because you can take the shots at the harvesters. But I don't think he's actually gotten any kills. He's going to get that kill for sure. For sure. Okay, they finally got it. The seeker tank does go down. Harvester getting targeted. One harvester down. Not quite, but there. The second swing does eliminate it. And Fields of Green loses, I think, only 2 units in that trade. So 1 harvester, 4, and maybe a seeker tank for 1 bike and 1 buggy. That's an okay trade, but that's not really the damage you were hoping to get done by going into a second Reckoner by getting more bike and buggy. BikeRushOwnz might actually need to pull that harvester, yeah, so that the rocket squads don't take it down. Harvester being kept safe. Dev tank getting the damage done at a distance. Seeker tank's looking for an angle to try and swing into the natural expansion of Fields of Green, but he's just not finding it. And, well, Fields of Green has done a pretty good job of throwing Bike Rush off of his game. BikeRushOwnz certainly is not infallible. He's not undefeatable, and certainly in a single random game. Fields of Green can potentially take him down. Lovely radar jamming missile firing off there. Lovely bit of lag that we all get to experience as the game stutters to a halt. I'm not sure why that is. Something about the game engine with the radar jamming missile. Bike buggy swarming on these seeker tanks. Good call there by Fields of Green. Would have been a good move by Bike Rush if Bike Rush had managed to attack somewhere else at the same time, but that was actually just a couple of random seeker tanks. Fields of Green jumps on it and manages to get the kill on those seekers, so maybe, yeah, it's up to tier 3, so kind of fast tech, quote-unquote fast tech, you know, on 2 bases. But this army falling apart, Fields of Green just capitalizing on the just random forces of BikeRushOwnz. And actually, these gunwalkers and these seeker tanks not joining together with the dev tanks. Fields of Green finding some real damage against Bike Rush and finding some real ways to shut down the army of Bike Rush. Bike Rush up onto the high ground with a couple of descents, but not really any big damage being done. Catalyst missile crashes onto one of Bike Rush's refineries, and Bike Rush is just kind of getting manhandled now by Fields of Green, getting shut down at his own game. Fields of Green transitioning into tier 3, going for the 1 clicks, and then maybe even following up with Tibcore missiles on these bikes. BikeRushOwnz looking to transition into higher tech units. Who does manage to catch at least a couple of these bikes. 1 or 2 of them were decoy bikes, so they did just absorb a bit of damage and at no real price to Fields of Green. I'm not sure what this engineer is out doing. More harvesters getting targeted down. It's going to cost Bike Rush to be able to do this, or it's going to cost Fields of Green. And oh, those 2 harvesters so low on health. A 3rd harvester extremely low on health as well. And it looks like 2 of those harvesters do go down to Fields of Green's unit, and his MCV is now on the front door of BikeRushOwnz. He is actually keeping up the aggression. He's keeping up the pressure against Bike Rush in a way that most people just are not able to. Fields of Green bringing a surprisingly aggressive game against Bike Rush, who normally has an unbeatable defense, but in this case, he is just unable to step out of his own base. He sent out some units, but it was in a disorganized mess into the middle of the map. They got jumped on by cheap bike buggy and destroyed. Now Fields of Green taking Bike Rush's 3rd base away from him. Bike Rush did manage to grab the expansion point. We'll see if he's able to use that as some kind of a focus for a comeback in this game. A little bit weird to see just a random replay, and BikeRushOwnz needing to have a bit of a comeback in this match. EMP locks down 2 of those Annihilator tripods. I completely forgot that Fields of Green was marked of Kane, even though he, of course, had the Tib Troopers inside of those Reckoners earlier. EMP doing what it can. Tib Trooper is going to hop inside of this Redeemer. Double refinery on the front line. Tib Core going to be able to smash down that Devastator warship nice and easy. Deals the killing blow very swiftly. Tripods backing off. BikeRushOwnz never really got the economy back up and running that he wanted. That Tib Catalyst missile disrupting him. And, well, he's been having to deal with some harvester harassment as well. BikeRushOwnz with not much of an army to his name. 3 tripods. He's going to need some magic to make this work. As 2 more tripods, or 2 more harvesters go down on the front line. Extremizer joining the stream as well. Thanks for showing up, man. I think you just missed Sparty if you were here to harass him. Redeemer steps away from the front line. Rage Gen fired off, but Fields of Green didn't really get too much value for it. Devastator warship a bit far forward. The bike buggy does not close in. The bike buggy does not manage to do anything with it. Mothership gets called in. Okay, so this is the play to win the game, to destroy the army. And there's the catalyst chain into the forces of Bike Rush, or of Fields of Green. And there's going to be the Redeemer goes down as well. That's the end of the attack. Some of the army survives. The Redeemer goes down, and BikeRushOwnz. This is why he is feared the way he is feared. Now he's got a shot in this game, calls in the clutch mothership play, and manages to destroy the entire expansion and army of Fields of Green. Fields of Green is going to have to pivot and find another angle to take this game away from BikeRushOwnz. At the same time, Fields of Green has got his other MCV on the high ground on the left side of the map. Fires off another radar jamming missile. BikeRushOwnz maybe has a bit of a clock on him to close out this game. There's the stasis shield locking down a big group of that bike buggy, even the fully heroic bike, as Bike does manage to close in on this army. He's going to be waiting for that stasis shield to evaporate, and he is going to jump on this army so quickly. That's where all of the cash of Bike Rush was apparently going into that play there. Decoy army will absorb a couple of shots there, and the Devastator warship does itself get devastated, as some of the bikes manage to escape, 3 or 4 of them making their way to the north. The Tier 3 is still here. We saw Supercharged Particle Beams play a limited role earlier in this game, but maybe it'll play a bit more of a role. Would have loved to grab that defensive tower before this moment, get a couple of shots on this army as it approaches. Gunwalkers are here on the south side, need the tripods there to quickly deal with those shredder turrets, and BikeRushOwnz may not have much left after he is looking to, I don't know, push onto this high ground. Okay, yeah, he brought his drone ship with his MCV is going to deploy on the high ground, and there's the repair drones here on the front line for Bike Rush. This is going to be perhaps his final assault, but also perhaps the final defense of Fields of Green. Can he make it happen? He's been doing such a good job in this game, taking Bike Rush to task and pushing him to the absolute limit. but now it all comes down to this final defense from FieldsofGreen. BikeRush pushing forward with 4 tripods, keeping them in those repair drone close, keeping those repair drones close, and managing to just absorb some damage with those tripods, and I think target down the harvesters. Yeah, now he finally moves forward. He targets down the harvesters, claiming every single one. There's the cell of the refinery. Two of the tripods get caught by that EMP, but now the War Factory is here to bring the repair in a bit more of a permanent fashion. 3 more tripods getting caught, and just little bits of chip damage may not be enough. The EMP continuing to fire off to try and lock down these tripods, but FieldsofGreen has run out of steam and run out of EMPs as well. The GG gets called, and what a magnificent attempt by FieldsofGreen, but BikeRushOwnz takes the win. I cannot even believe that BikeRushOwnz pulled that one out in that manner. A clean 15 minutes. FieldsofGreen coming so close to knocking BikeRush completely out, and yet BikeRush still gets the win. The better economy for most of that game. I guess maybe not most of the game time-wise, but really claiming a lead in the end there as both players kind of faltered on the right side of the map, and FieldsofGreen had the transition available on the left side of the map, was not able to make it work. We've got more games coming up. Looks like we've got ourselves another couple of 1v1s to transition into after that amazing game on Odyssey. I was not expecting the mothership play coming out from BikeRush in that moment. Someone asking for the uptime. I don't... you said that like it's a command, Chaos99 CNC, but yeah, I don't... Doublevil just comes in with the manual filling in of how long this stream has been going. But no, there's no command to see how long the stream has been going. Prez of Palo saying crazy comeback of Bike grabs this. Yeah, he did actually manage it. He did actually manage it. Bit of a classic match coming up here. My voice is starting to disappear. Got the water coming in to revive me. I don't know about the uptime thing either, but I do know about this game. Welcome to Tournament Decision for an absolute classic matchup from the last 3 years in the North as the Cyan GDI. This is Futurama. Much love to him. We all hope to see him back online soon. Hopefully his whole city remains safe in the coming days and weeks. Meanwhile, in the south, as the green Zocom, this is Drive. Does he have the drive? Does he have the power to go after hour after hour after hour? I definitely said that correctly. And something, something, I don't know, I only listened to that song once. But there we go. Futurama GDI versus Drive Zocom on Tournament Decision. Well, I guess this is a slight variation. This is Tournament Decision, no poker. So the spikes, well, this one has been removed. The right side spikes have been removed. Meanwhile, the kind of left side spikes do have the back path that leads to them. Other than that, maybe some of this terrain got smoothed out. There were some maps, some of the official EA maps had some weird terrain in them where, like, there'd be, like, little teeny tiny dip somewhere, and you couldn't place buildings there or deploy your MCV there. It would be very annoying, and it wouldn't really have any kind of function within the map itself. It wasn't like a strategic dip. It just appeared to be a random dip. So I think some of those potholes have been filled in up in this northern section of the map. But Always like to see this map. We'll see how Drive and Futurama choose to play it. Hopefully it'll bit of... Actually, I guess we're probably going to see a bunch of Zorkas, aren't we? I mean, it's Drive. Drive loves him a heavy airfield transition. Drive maybe even loves him a airfield rush. And he's playing his Zocom, which have some pretty phenomenal airfield plays that they can pull out. But for the current moment, it's not a fast airfield. I mean, he's gone 2 refineries and a war factory. And this is all before command post. He doesn't actually even have anything queued, so it's definitely not going to be a fast command post airfield Orca kind of play. And Futurama, well, Futurama kind of looks much the same. It looks like he may be going for a 3rd refinery. He doesn't have the pit bulls that Drive has, so that's the first bit of a difference. And yeah, it's the 3rd refinery right out of the gate. So that's the difference between these two guys. The extra power plants from Drive and the pit bulls were his choice, putting him in the aggressor's seat, putting him as the one who's going to be pushing down this ramp into the field of Futurama. There's going to be the rocket squads coming on out. The watchtower is here as well. The first pit bull does deploy for Futurama. And, well, we'll see how the defense is able to hold off these pit bulls. First volley of rockets crashes in. Only 4 pit bulls, though. Not a crazy number to be able to do big damage to harvesters in just 1 or 2 volleys. Instead, Drive puts on a bit of pressure, and I think he was just there to keep Futurama honest. I think Drive really just wanted to see if Futurama had cut any major corners. Now, maybe this second group of 4 pit bulls on the south side will join together, and they'll be able to do some serious damage. They do also get the scout off exactly as that airfield comes in. All right, pit bulls coming in. They do manage to land a couple of shots here, and more pit bulls coming in from Drive, from the high ground. He's maybe going to be able to find more than 1 harvester worth of damage, closing in on a second harvester, and Drive does manage to secure the kill. That's 2 harvesters down, trading it out so far for about 6 pit bulls as that one falls as it drives up the hill backwards. 8 pit bulls, 2 harvesters dead, 2 pit bulls managed to escape. Drive feeling pretty good about that exchange. Orca strike coming in. I'm not sure if Drive is aware of this. He may be able to completely dodge that Orca strike. And if not, he's going to take a little bit of damage on that harvester and maybe just have to go in for repairs in a moment. He does pull off the harvester. Very nicely done there. Sends it right back to work. And not too much lost mining time or anything there. The rocket squads of Futurama are a nice touch just to add a bit of extra defense to that main base. Airfield and armory as well as command post all at the same time. There's the upgrade on the power plant, giving new life to Drive in his main base. Actually sells off immediately, so he gets TIB field suits, and that is it. AP ammo is on the way, I believe. I think we saw that upgrading already. Yeah, AP ammo is on the way, so Drive has got that going for him. He's going to have some great infantry as a Zocom player as he heads towards his natural expansion. And it's all on one base. Double MCV, which is going to be scouted by this Orca strike, I think. Yeah, the Orca strike will fly directly over that MCV, even catches that harvester and does some big, big damage. That Orca strike, if it had been a few moments sooner and a little bit to the left, it could have done big, big damage to that MCV. And, well, it looks like this random pit bull is going to be going for some scouting. He's going to see the ceramic armor on that hammerhead. Both of these guys getting an extremely good look at what the other one is doing. Marv about 2/3 of the way done, and I think at this point there's nothing that Drive is really going to be able to do to shut that down. He's going to put some pressure on the TIB spike, take it down, and Drive has already got his MCV deployed in the south. But that's one of the advantages of going for the single MCV style, is you don't have to wait for that second one to build and go out onto the field. Conyard deploys. Futurama is going to need some better defense in the south if he's hoping for that Conyard to actually do anything. AA battery going to be absorbing a bit of damage from these rockets. Hammerheads are here as well, just to push back this army. A couple of juggernauts here. Something that is nice to have is ground-based artillery. Rocket's taking a couple of shots at these harvesters. They're going to be able to claim another harvester. Futurama just cannot keep his economy untainted. Drive is finding the damage against Futurama's forces, and the Firehawks come through, slice down 2 of those hammerheads, but that last harvester does manage to survive, does manage to escape, at least for now. Futurama going to be harvesting his own field, his own natural expansion. It's always nice if you can expand to the area that you're not going to harvest from with the Marv, but, you know, this isn't the worst thing either, and it looks like he might just be long-distance mining and then using this for a bit of a sonic emitter push. We'll see what these units from Drive are able to do to stop this pressure from Futurama in the south. Juggernaut's taking a bit of damage here. Futurama perhaps falling a little bit apart as Drive has managed to find some weaknesses to exploit in Futurama's army and defenses. Marv pushes on forward. Grenadier inside of that. Marv, where actually is... Oh, Drive is Zocom, so those are probably Zone Raiders in there. Not so much Grenadiers, as the attack animation was wrong for Grenadiers. Meanwhile, railguns inside of the Marv of Futurama. A little bit of Tiberium damage in the north. EMP claimed by nobody so far. EMP grenades, pretty difficult to use against anything that isn't a Marv. I mean, they both potentially could have them. I don't think they've actually gone for the upgrade, but they potentially could. Sonic emitter gets battered down, and if it comes down to a war of base defenses, Futurama has that distinct advantage playing as GDI. Firehawks coming in. What is the target? He's actually going power plants, just trying to shut down the power, shut down the production of Futurama, keep him in low power mode for a moment longer. There's the Grenadier inside of that Marv of Futurama. And Drive has completely pulled back. He's got Shockwave Artillery potentially coming up here in a couple of moments. We will see if he's able to lock down this Marv of Futurama, if he's able to make the magic happen. Drive, I assume, is going to be expanding up to the north. Shockwave Artillery fires off. How's the RNG? It's good enough. It catches the Marv with a couple of blasts there, keeping it locked down, selling off the AA batteries on the front line, trying to get those riflemen directly onto the front line to deal with those Zone Raiders, but that DPS is absolutely punishing Drive coming in here with the 1-2 punch. The Zone Raiders going down. The Zorkas do miss their shot, but the Firehawks are here to add their grenade damage and do that extra bit of damage to that Marv. Futurama getting crushed on the front line here as Drive drives forward and loses his Marv. Those Juggernauts suddenly looking at the ground sheepishly, unable to do anything against that Hammerhead. But having done their job of killing the Marv, Drive sacrificing almost everything to get that Marv kill, even using his Firehawks inefficiently to bomb units. And still, he loses his own Marv at the same time. These two guys absolutely cutthroat, back and forth, neck and neck in this match. Another AA battery gets deployed. The Hammerheads are just too slow. The double MCV is too powerful, and Futurama crushes the air forces of Drive. Goodbye, Hammerhead, as it falls to pieces there. Still no EMP captured by either one of these players. The MCV deploys on the high ground. The Marv cleaning up that Tiberium field, fueling the late game here from Futurama. Finally, the command post does go down, and that's going to shut down at least some of the production of Futurama. There's the low power mode as Drive bombs Futurama. Not quite back to the Stone Age, but pretty darn close. Power is back online, but a full tech reset by Drive keeps Futurama from pumping out any high-tech units anytime soon. Hammerheads continuing to work their way through the forces of Futurama in the north. Meanwhile, in the south, he's got himself a lovely little expansion set up here, trying to take the second field of Drive, the field that Drive never took in the south. Hammerheads with their ceramic armor. A powerful force. But are they actually... Ooh, they actually do find 2 Juggernauts. They get the kill on 1, getting the drop on these 2 Juggernauts, completely shutting them down and denying any further damage of those Juggernauts, even killing the Husks immediately. The Predator tanks might be the next target. No, it's going to be the APCs. As these ceramic armor hammerheads jump on the APCs. 1, 2, 3, taking them all down, forcing the deploy of even more AA batteries. Futurama finding the damage as Drive's hammerheads stop momentarily. A bit of a mistake there from Drive, but certainly not the end of the world for him. Futurama and Drive so evenly matched in this game for years now. These two guys just trading blows back and forth. I feel like Drive always performs a bit better in tournaments, but in an individual game or a practice match, these two guys just go back and forth pretty much 1-2-1. More AA batteries deployed. Futurama barely able to hold on, barely able to keep pressing forward. He has just got a little bit of cash that he keeps pulling in from somewhere, deploying more and more base defenses on the front line, deploying more and more rifle squads, because he really doesn't have much more on the ground other than rifleman squads and a couple of Predator tanks, but it's just enough firepower to defeat Drive and push Drive back from that topside base, but at the same time, the MCV is going to be getting chopped down in the south, even Drive pulling in his rocket harvesters to shut down the income of Futurama. Futurama is going to have to pivot entirely to the north side of the map, and while that may be okay with Futurama, Drive is not giving up as he long-distance mines what should have been his original natural expansion. There's going to be the Firehawks up, and they are circling, looking not for the War Factory, instead going for the power plants. I think he was trying to split the bombs and go for the splash damage to kill the power plants. Another power plant going down, and the hammerheads barely get it in time. Drive finding just moment after moment to barely knock Futurama down, but it's not enough. Powering down the War Factory and one of the AA batteries, Futurama keeps himself online long enough to push back these hammerheads. No, they find just the right angle on the north side of that con yard, and Drive gets the kill on that MCV with his Firehawks. The front line is desolate. Barely anything here for either one of these players. Nothing that shoots up for Futurama, and the AA batteries get overwhelmed as Futurama calls the GG and Drive takes the game. What a back and forth match from these two. Drive and Futurama entertaining us to no end for the last year. Absolutely neck and neck, evenly matched in the economy. Both of these guys coming through, but I think the real MVP, regardless of what the favorite unit is, the real MVP was those Firehawks. These two guys coming in very close together on all of the metrics pretty much of this game. Drive's Firehawks making it happen for him in that game against Futurama. The Hammerheads got the flashy win at the last moment. They're the ones who actually get the credit for ending the game. But those Firehawks, they're the ones who actually did the work throughout the entirety of the game to really give Drive that edge he needed. And actually, it wasn't really an edge. It was keeping Futurama from winning outright, because Futurama went for the faster Marv, harvested that field in the south, and was going to kick Drive out of that entire southern part of the map. But Drive's consistent bombing kept him in the game, kept him alive, and yeah, keeping him in the face of Futurama. Twitch uptime and stream uptime are different. I mean, in this case, they're basically the same. Like, the stream uptime is, you know, like maybe 1 second longer than the Twitch uptime. But, yeah. All right, potentially the last game of today. 7 replays. It actually has gone a lot more quickly than I thought these 7 games were going to go. We're only at 2 hours and 15 minutes, and there have been some generous breaks throughout this. So, but let's jump into Tournament Crater for our next game in Kane's Wrath. In the north as the green-black hand, this is Alibaster. And as the yellow Zocom, this is Masterleaf. If it is Tournament Crater and it's a Masterleaf game, you can pretty much guarantee that it is going to be a fun match. Now this replay, Masterleaf might be upset that I'm casting. He sometimes sends me replays of cool little builds or moments, and he says, this is not a good game to cast, but just check out this moment. But the problem is, sometimes, like has happened recently, there is a long time in between when I get a replay and when I actually cast it. So I kind of forget all of that stuff, and then sometimes I just cycle stuff in. Masterleaf has messaged me. He's like, hey, you weren't supposed to cast that replay. I was like, I don't know, it was entertaining. Like, you may be not happy with your personal performance in it, but everyone really loved the game in the video, so hopefully Masterleaf is not upset with me. But, let's see, Zocom versus Black Hand. Definitely a bit of an odd... Ooh, directly... Wait, what? Is he going double op center? He must have... He just wants the... No? Okay. Maybe he is going double op center, but he is sending out that Black Hand squad extremely quickly. Alibaster... Okay, there was... Yeah, he went double op center, but he sold them both off immediately. He didn't even get an upgraded power plant. Nothing. No advantage long-term from that at all. He just wanted 2 Black Hand squads, I assume, to take some buildings? To control the map? That's really interesting. Now, look at this. Of course, it super-duper delays your second refinery. Your natural expansion, all of that stuff is ultra-delayed because you went for those individual Black Hand squads. Normally, of course, we see that paired with a Reckoner or something, but in this case, it's paired with nothing. There's no flame tanks. It's like 5 bikes, which is not even that crazy of a bike aggression. It's double refinery. MCV has already moved, which, granted, on this map, the MCV move is extremely short anyways, so an MCV move delay is not a big deal at all. Masterleaf now getting a scout against that Black Hand opponent, and he's like, wow, you've got nothing. He's just now getting his 4th refinery. There's no stealth, so you can see all of that stuff. And, well, he's going to try and burn down these tib spikes, I guess, and we'll see if the bikes are able to get any real damage done. Masterleaf going for the crush. He's not quite going to get it, which means eventually this bunker with its 2 Black Hand members inside of it will burn down that tib spike. It'll just take a little while. Unlike that one over there, will burn down much more quickly. All right, the bikes are coming back in. A couple of watchtowers are here. They're going to be able to get 1 harvester, but trading 5 bikes for 1 harvester is not a traditionally good idea. And also the super-duper delay on the entire economy of Alibaster that this build has been. Alibaster is pretty far behind in a traditional sense. Aha! Aha! Masterleaf was working on this a couple of months ago. We saw it work in spades in some other games, but we're going to see how it works now. Masterleaf was working on this build where you drop Predator tanks in your opponent's field. It's a little bit like a tunnel network or a Nidus worm or a wormhole, but it happens like 4 minutes into the game instead of at the end of the game, you know, middle or late game. And, well, 1 Predator tank does go down as the transport explodes. A 2nd Predator tank almost goes down, but the transport does unload it quickly enough. The Hammerhead does get targeted down, but now it's going to be bikes against Predator tanks, and you'll take that and bet every time from the Masterleaf perspective. He gets the bikes, he gets the buggy, even a Scorpion tank just walks directly into the waiting guns of these Preds. The Hand of Nod going to be getting shut down, and there should be a 2nd Hammerhead coming in relatively soon here from Masterleaf. Masterleaf claims another Scorpion tank, and he has not got the Harvester kills that he wanted. There has been some lost mining time, but this has not been the absolute slam dunk win that Masterleaf was hoping for. He kept a couple of these hammerheads back. He's actually bringing 2 of them in at once and shuts down every single rocket squad, forcing some Hand of Nods to be deployed, and all of these Harvesters getting bunched up. A big mistake there by Alibaster. He made some serious misclicks, some serious miscalculations there, as Masterleaf completely dismantles that Flame Rush, that very unorthodox Flame Rush, as we see Masterleaf just dealing with that quite calmly. And, well, that almost spiraled into control for Alibaster, but no, those Predator tanks were not going to be stopped, and that spiraled absolutely out of control for Alibaster there, as Masterleaf just crushed through those paltry defenses and got the win quite cleanly there in that game number 7. We are going to maybe be taking a bit of a break here, as I've got to figure out what is going on with this last replay number 8, which is a potential game to finish us out. And I don't actually have a board for it or anything, so if we do go to a game number 8, then it'll be a minute, and also there won't be player names at the top, so that'll be kind of fun. The production value will just be a little bit missing. Always cool when that happens. But thank you guys for joining this stream, and yeah, that last game, that game number 7, was a total shutdown by Masterleaf. He completely crushed that army. Okay, cool. So Command Post is just not launching. Okay, yes, it is launching. Okay, there. Now it's working fine. Okay, Ah, that's what it was. It was an old R16 beta, so I have to re-download that. Oh my. I think we're gonna check. We're definitely gonna want to check this one out if we can. It's Tournament Odyssey, and I think the players will surprise you. We are going to lose our cool look from the 4K mod when we switch over to this old version, because I think it's going to overwrite the, what is it, the .big? Whatever it is, the SKUDEF. The SKUDEF is going to overwrite that, and we're going to lose our 4K mod. But that's okay. This last game will look a little bit worse, as I got the hiccups. A little bit worse than the other games, but that's the price we all pay. Yeah, the 1.03 replays can be very short-lived. You can have a version come out almost day to day, and replays can be old very quickly. And since it always auto-updates, you can't even, like, use the dates to say, oh, well, this was played on the old version. You have to go manually install the old version so that it will work correctly. Alright. Oh no, it's auto-launching Kane's Wrath. I don't want you to auto-launch. It's not going to be windowed. I don't think. Let's see if it launches windowed or not. No, it did not. Cabal 90, why did you choose your name? Ooh. This is a spicy looking game we're about to take a look at. I think this is going to be a really good one to finish us out on. Welcome to Tournament Odyssey for game number 8 of this subscriber replay showcase. It was supposed to be for February, but it's led on into March now in the north as the Pink Black Hand. This is BikeRushOwnz. And in the south as the yellow black hand. That's right, it's a black hand mirror. This is Masterleaf. So Masterleaf versus BikeRushOwnz, not the matchup that I thought we were going to see in game number 8. Now these two guys playing pink and yellow, that's all fine and good, but I mean really, we care about the fact that this is a black hand mirror, and it's on Tournament Odyssey, so we get to see these two guys facing off against each other, Tournament Odyssey, in a perfect mirror matchup. How do they choose to play it? How do they choose to be exactly the same? Or will they be a bit different from each other? Well, BikeRushOwnz deploys his War Factory, and we'll see if it's a second War Factory as the follow-up from BikeRushOwnz, or it's going to be a little bit more a traditional second refinery as the follow-up. Of course, many years ago, BikeRushOwnz would play almost exclusively in tournament games double War Factory MCV cell all-ins. And he was just so good with it, it almost was the question of, like, if he's that good with it, why would he not do it? But, of course, as a viewer, it was always disappointing to watch, but a win is a win, as they say. And eventually people got good at defending it. BikeRushOwnz also lost some games, some pretty pivotal games, doing that build. But by the way, if you guys don't know, both of these guys do have their own YouTube channels. You can check them out, Masterleaf and BikeRush. I believe Masterleaf is not posting videos right now, but I think he is still streaming. And Bike has videos coming out basically every day. The guy streams a ton, and his editor puts in a bunch of work to turn those streams into individual videos, and he basically has like 8 weeks of backlog all piled up. So if you want to see the best guy in Kane's Wrath playing FPV, so you can actually see what he does, why he does it sometimes, and also you get a bit of his commentary, and sometimes they're quite funny and unorthodox videos. They're not all just like regular 1v1s. I think recently he put up a best of 7 show match versus Eclipse. It was a pretty fun series to see his sort of first-person view of. And he also does some tutorials as well, so both of these guys do have some tutorial videos, how to do some builds, or in Masterleaf's case, he's got some 4K videos where he talks about the 4K texture pack, which normally I use. I think it got overwritten with this version. So, but that's okay. This one game can be not with the 4K texture pack, that's fine. Still, good-looking game regardless. Pretty normal opening for both of these. Ooh, okay. Masterleaf with 3 bikes sneaking along the south side of the map, right at the edge of the map. Operations Center kind of on the front line there for Masterleaf. But a double refinery right out of the gate at the natural expansion for BikeRushOwnz. Really a big delay on any additional tech, on any additional war factories. BikeRushOwnz going full eco mode, and maybe it'll just be a somewhat typical double MCV, triple MCV, base push, end the game kind of thing. But maybe there will be a little bit more to it than that. Scouts coming in from Masterleaf. He's got a decent look at the main base and at the natural expansion of BikeRushOwnz. Masterleaf following it up with his own second refinery there at the natural expansion, just a good bit later than BikeRush's. Actually, BikeRushOwnz also going for the secret shrine before he gets up his ops center, so a bit of a pivot there. He's going to be getting that Black Disciple upgrade, maybe Purifying Flame, probably just Black Disciples. And yep, there we go. The Disciple upgrade giving a Black Hand member to every unit. And aha, this is what we were hoping to see. BikeRushOwnz does actually find double flame tanks on the north side of the map. He catches them unawares. He finds them out and exposed, and he does manage to smash them with his bikes. And that will do it for that sneaky attempt by Masterleaf on the north side of the map. That is why there was such a delay in the second refinery at the natural expansion. That is why there was a focus on the tech. But BikeRushOwnz finds it out, and destroys it. And now, BikeRushOwnz just has the better build. He's got the better infantry. He's got the tech, the tier 3, you know, close enough in the same time. And, well, Masterleaf has got some one-clicks on his side. I'm not sure if he actually got any scouting of BikeRush's base, but we will see. It looks like he's going to be coming in with those scouts now. A couple of Rocket Squad and a Cabal Squad here to get the kill on one of these Tib refineries. BikeRushOwnz goes for his own scout as well. Chemical plant on both sides. And, ooh, BikeRushOwnz snipes down one refinery of his opponent. Doesn't get the other one. They were a little bit close, but they weren't quite close enough to actually get both refineries. And you can't always try and Tib Catalyst missile your opponent's chemical plant. And that can be a nice way to shut down their chemical plant if they have not actually used their one-clicks. In this case, Masterleaf got his sooner, but hasn't actually used any of his one-clicks, unfortunately, for him. Takes a bit of damage from that Rocket Squad, but he's going to be able to repair that up quite quickly. BikeRushOwnz pushing in from the north. A couple of Rocket Squads are here. Masterleaf a little bit late on his own upgrades. He sold off his Secret Shrine actually before even getting his own Disciple upgrade. So these Rocket Squads and all of his infantry just don't have the longevity that the upgraded infantry do. Great snipe of that Harvester. BikeRushOwnz loses a Harvester there at his third base, and Masterleaf able to kind of find... No, actually, I'm flipping that around. That's actually Masterleaf's Harvester that went down there. BikeRushOwnz manages to find that damage there. The MCV deploys in the south for BikeRushOwnz, and he gets his refinery on what would be the third base of Masterleaf. And also, Masterleaf going for a commando as well. She will be burned down in the middle of the map, unfortunately, for Masterleaf. BikeRushOwnz going to be able to claim that kill there. And a single Purifier marching its way through the back of BikeRush's base, trying to burn down tech and infrastructure. Won't get that last power plant. It looks like the Tier 3 does manage to survive the Tier 2 as well. The triple MCV is still here. And Masterleaf finally finds his mark with that chemical missile, that catalyst missile. And now he can sell off his own chemical plant as Masterleaf sets up his third base. BikeRushOwnz sets up his own third base. And these two are going to bring it down to the late game. Avatars snipe those last couple of bikes. Operations Center gets deployed. It's Obelisk time. Both of these guys seeing each other, seeing the plays, seeing the attempt by BikeRush to take that expansion point. Masterleaf trying to shut it down, but not having those upgraded infantry makes that much more difficult. Masterleaf deploys his Redeemer right here on the front line. He's going to have that engineering facility potentially under attack, but let's see if he's able to get out the Redeemer and stand up against BikeRush, who's got his own Double Flame Redeemer closing in and shutting down Masterleaf at every turn. The Rage Gen fires off as BikeRush turns tail and runs out of Masterleaf's base. That's the only damage he really cared about doing, just sniping that Redeemer, shutting down that attempt by Masterleaf. BikeRush, on the other hand, keeps up the obelisks for the current moment, gets out a third one just barely in time. But now they're kind of out of range of anything else. Masterleaf getting a free kill on that Harvester. Double War Factory deploy in the south. Masterleaf is going to have to start wheeling and dealing. He's going to have to really pull something out to come out ahead of BikeRush. BikeRushOwnz getting basically all of the wins in the last couple of minutes. BikeRushOwnz is going to start pressuring Masterleaf in the south, going to the natural expansion of the Leaf, and just Obelisk pushing it to death. And as BikeRushOwnz starts to take more and more territory, it's going to be harder and harder for Masterleaf to hold on. This is also such an annoying point. The fact that that defensive tower got taken by BikeRush at some point previously in the game. Masterleaf is going to be able to shut down these obelisks extremely quickly. Actually, it turns out the commando does take a ton of damage from that obelisk. when the commando... Ooh, and the commando doesn't quite survive the obelisk attack. That was a bit of a glitch there. Not an intentional glitch necessarily, but a bit of a weird move the way she bombed the obelisk after it had already been sold off. But it ended up killing some of the infantry anyways. Masterleaf, after having claimed a couple of harvesters of BikeRush is here to return the favor. There's the Rage Gen firing off, trying to cause mayhem and confusion for Masterleaf's forces. BikeRushOwnz MCV deploys, and there are their counter obelisks as BikeRush burns his way to the front line, and he's going to look to take down the Tier 3 tech and move his way forward through the rest of Masterleaf's forces. Masterleaf, without that Tier 3, is going to have a really hard time contending against BikeRush. The commando is the play that he goes for, shutting down the expansion. The third base of BikeRushOwnz gets annihilated there as the buildings get claimed, and I don't think he has actually taken that expansion point. It is up to Masterleaf to make something happen from this game, and the commando is how he is going to try and do it. The Raider Buggies do surprisingly little damage with no upgrades against a commando that is fully heroic, but now that there are 5, 6, 7 Raider Buggies here, that is going to be more than enough to finally kill that commando. These single unit plays from Masterleaf, it's like BikeRush has all of the cash and all of the units in the world. He should be able to stop this stuff, but Masterleaf is finding the weaknesses. Masterleaf is finding the areas that can be exploited and just doing some kind of damage. Well, that's maybe a little bit of overkill. The Nod Christmas tree is alight as Masterleaf crashes in here. BikeRushOwnz shuts him down. So many units, so many individual lasers for just one single purifier from Masterleaf. BikeRushOwnz turns this area into a Nod Christmas tree as the lasers are here to party. And Masterleaf has successfully kept the pressure off of his third base, and Masterleaf has actually kind of established himself quite nicely in this little corner of the map. He's done enough damage to BikeRush that BikeRush had to focus on rebuilding for a couple of minutes there as he takes his own third base back. And I mean, you know, there's no refineries here. There's one refinery back here at the main base. Masterleaf has done a really good job of getting value out of the stuff that he has and fighting from an underdog position. Beam cannons, kind of like Spectres, are one of those units that can be extremely powerful at evening the playing field, at leveling the playing field between these two guys. BikeRushOwnz pushing forward for a good couple of minutes. BikeRushOwnz looking like he has an unbeatable, overwhelming army. And Masterleaf has had enough rebuild time that it's not an even match, but it's much closer to an even match than it was before. Masterleaf's Redeemer marching on forward, absorbing all of that rocket damage while the beam cannons burn through the buildings. No EMP Raider Buggies in the north for BikeRush, so that Redeemer will continue pushing on forward. The Redeemer in the south from BikeRush is also unopposed. EMPs lock down these buildings, but it's not enough to actually send Masterleaf into low power mode. Finally, low power mode does get activated there for Masterleaf. BikeRushOwnz still has a bit of infrastructure here, claiming those power plants and that refinery would be a nice extra bit of damage. Where's Masterleaf going with these beam cannons completely undefended? He's just going to try and burn down, I don't know what. Is he trying to initiate like a base race or something? I'm not sure what Masterleaf is hoping to accomplish. Oh, okay. It's just for the scout. It's just to see what's there. That makes a lot more sense. And once again, the commando here for Masterleaf is going to try and find a game-winning move. Masterleaf with 2 flame tanks on the left side of the map, unable to find the sneaky damage to kill BikeRush outright or to knock down his buildings. The Rage Gen fires off, and this Redeemer looking for some kind of an exit strategy as he pulls away from these unupgraded Scorpion tanks. I guess they have as many upgrades as they can have, considering that it's Black Hand Scorpion tanks. The EMP fires off, but it misses the Redeemer as he keeps blasting down these Scorpions, going maybe for the crush, but Masterleaf has nothing to save this Redeemer, and he just lets it die. A bit of a surprise there that Masterleaf just let that Redeemer fall in that manner. I guess he was buying time, but I'm not sure that that was really a good buying time kind of move. Beam cannons firing off just individual blasts against those purifiers. Masterleaf burning down the refinery of BikeRushOwnz. Needs to get the MCV to stop the build radius from being preserved, but no, there's too much stuff here. The flame tanks go down, and the refinery did not even fall. BikeRushOwnz finding this clump of beam cannons. There goes the artillery. The hope of Masterleaf is going to be held by this obelisk and this avatar. The beam cannons, 2 of them do manage to survive, but that's a far cry from the giant clump that Masterleaf had a few moments ago. Those beam cannons can really burn down an epic unit quickly if you're not careful. And Masterleaf just lost that opportunity, but he's bought enough time. He's got a Redeemer back out onto the field. His own multi-MCV play has been coming through in spades for him to keep him alive and kicking in this game. But BikeRushOwnz is here to shut down the expansion of Masterleaf. The GG gets called, and Masterleaf has been defeated after an absolute close back and forth from these guys. BikeRush takes the game. These two guys with a black hand mirror, bringing the match, bringing the action, and not quite a mirror. I mean, absolutely a mirror matchup, but different strategies, different points of focus for these two guys here in game number 8. Big thanks to everyone who sent in replays for this showcase, for this video. Of course, if you watched the stream, hey, Guaspari showing up in the chat as well at the very, very end. That is game number 8. That is 2 hours and about 45 minutes of streaming, and that is going to do it for today. This VOD will be going up on YouTube if you're here on the live stream. But, of course, a big thank you to everyone who tuned in live, and I hope you guys enjoyed the games over on YouTube channel. Check out BikeRush and Masterleaf's YouTube channel as well. Been a good time, but I think we're going to call it there. So thank you all very much for watching, and that is it. This is Cyber, signing out.